Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance. My spiritual master has kindly opened my eyes with shining torchlight transcendent knowledge. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances to his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
So we're continuing our reading of Bhagavad Gita from chapter 9, entitled The Most Confidential Knowledge, text number 33. So the last verse is 34, which is very famous verse, 34. And there's almost identical verse in the 18th chapter, 1865, which has the first two lines are the same. So that's a very important verse, 34. And the fact that Krishna repeats it again in the 18th chapter, which is like the conclusion of the Bhagavad Gita, just shows that it's very essential, important information. What it's saying is that man mana bhava man bhakto, to always think of Krishna and become Krishna's devotee. And mam yaji mam naraskaru, which means yaji means to worship Krishna. And namaskaru means offer your respects, obeisances, like that. So these are the four things that Krishna recommends. And this is the basic foundation of how we can be Krishna conscious, what he's wanting us to do. If we surrender to him, what should we do after we surrender? This is what we should do, to always think of him. And the best way to do that is by chanting Hare Krishna. And then become his devotee, become Krishna's devotee, and love him, basically direct our love towards him, and worship him, and offer our respect to him. So that's again said in 1855, just before the famous verse, Sarvadharman Prityaja, 1866. Surrender to Krishna. But yeah, this verse 33. So just to recap on last week's one, 32, which is, and 32 is a interesting verse, which says, we'll just read the, Gulshan, do you want to read the translation for 32?
Yeah, it's O son of Partha, those who take shelter in me, so they be a lower birth, woman, Vaishya, merchant, and the Shudra workers can attain the supreme destination.
Yeah, so what this is telling us is that in the material world, there's different qualifications. We're not all the same materially, isn't it? Materially, we're not the same. Spiritually, we are the same. We're all eternal spirit souls. Krishna's our father, we're all his children. So spiritually, there's equality. But materially, there isn't. Man's body is different than a woman's body. You can do different things with it. Some people have more material education. Some people have less material education. Some people have more wealth. Some people have less wealth. So there's all these differences on the material platform. And so why is it that some people have a lower birth? So where does that come from? Any idea? Is it by chance that someone has a lower birth and someone has a higher birth?
Based on karma?
Karma, yeah. So according to your karma from your previous life, if you got good karma, you'll get a higher birth. And if you got bad karma, you'll get a lower birth. But what Krishna's saying in this verse is that even if you do have bad karma, even if you do have a lower birth, then if you surrender to me, even with all those disqualifications, material disqualifications, if you surrender to me, you can still go back home, back to Godhead. So there's nothing really to stop anyone advancing spiritually. It doesn't matter where you were at before you come to Krishna consciousness. Once you surrender to Krishna, then you have equal opportunity to progress spiritually and go back to Godhead. Doesn't matter you've got an Indian body, which is pious, or a Western body, which is sinful. I was brought up eating meat and drinking and so many things. and didn't know about God or anything like that. So it doesn't matter whatever your qualifications were. But once you surrender to Krishna, then everyone's on an equal plane. Everyone's on an equal plane. And once you take the spiritual life, then you shouldn't look at that person's past and say, oh, you're a meat eater, you're a Westerner, or you're an Indian, or whatever. Then your bodily situation is not relevant anymore. The main thing is that you've surrendered to God and you're serving God, and that's all you need to go back to Godhead. That you've surrendered to the Supreme, and from now on you're doing what Krishna wants. From now on you're doing what Krishna wants, and then anyone that does that can go back home back to Godhead. And we shouldn't think this verse is just putting women down, because it mentions woman's birth is lower, but it also says Vaishyas and Sudras. And in Kali Yuga, everyone is born a Sudra in Kali Yuga. So actually, from that point of view, in Kali Yuga, everyone has a lower birth, whether you're in a woman's body or a man's body. We're all materially don't have many qualifications. And that's exactly why Lord Chaitanya has come to deliver all the disqualified people in Kali Yuga that materially, spiritually, we're very lazy in Kali Yuga. That's one of the qualifications mentioned about Kali Yuga, that in Kali Yuga, spiritually, people are lazy. Materially, people are very active. People are running around, to make money and get power and fame and fortune and everything. But spiritually, no one can be bothered doing anything. And then we tend to be very misguided. Misguided. We've followed, people that cheat us, so we're very misguided and very unlucky. Bad things happen to us in Kali Yuga. So and we have short lives in Kali Yuga, and above all, it's mentioned our minds are disturbed. So there's a lot of disqualifications in Kali Yuga. But the good news is, that's the bad news. The good news is Lord Chaitanya has come, and he says it doesn't matter whether you're, unlucky, misguided, disturbed, short life, whatever. Just chant Hare Krishna. Just chant Hare Krishna, and you become Krishna's devotee, and you can go back home back to Godhead. So Krishna consciousness is so beautiful, really, that it doesn't matter, what your material qualifications or disqualifications are. Anyone and everyone can take to Krishna consciousness like that. And you're not going to find many paths like that. Like some spiritual paths from India, you have to be a sannyasi. If you're not a sannyasi, then which completely cuts out all the women, and then it cuts out all the men. If they're a household or a family person, they can't follow it either. So there's a lot of paths, and you need some particular material qualifications to be able to do it. Even like Prabhupada said, even if you can't read, even if you're not into philosophy and you don't like reading, just chant Hare Krishna. So even if you're illiterate, or you just don't care to read or whatever like that, or even if you're blind, but you can just chant Hare Krishna. So there's not really much you need to advance in Krishna consciousness, other than just surrendering to the process. Whatever the past was, that doesn't really matter. But right now in the present, is like if we surrender to the instructions of the spiritual master, then that will immediately lift us up to the spiritual platform. Yeah, so that was the basic topic of last week. And let's look at today's one. Does anyone want to say anything about that before we go on to today?
No.
Okay, so we'll read 33. Kim puna brahmana punya
Kim puna brahmana punya.
Bhakta Raja Sayastata
Bhakta raja shita sastata.
Anityam Asukam Lokam
Anityam asukam lokam.
Imam Prapya Bhajasvamam.
Imam papya pajasamam.
Oh,
How
there's
much
one
more?
one of Prabhupada's disciples was named Jayananda, and he was giving Jayananda Brahmana initiation. In that initiation, you are given different mantras by the Guru, the Gayatri mantra and some other ones. And Prabhupada was trying to teach Jayananda how to chant the mantras. And you also, as you're chanting them, you chant on your fingers. You count. You count. Each one is done 10 times. So you count the 10 mantras on your fingers. And he just couldn't get it. He couldn't get it. He couldn't, first of all, he couldn't pronounce the mantras, and then he couldn't get counting 10 on his fingers. So Prabhupada eventually gave up, and then he said, anyway, it doesn't matter. You're just such a good devotee. Because this Jayananda, he built the first Rath carts. He was a great builder. So he was building for Krishna, and he would put out the trash cans in the temple, and he would drive the Sankirtan devotees to do book distribution. So he was doing such wonderful, valuable service. But he just, in terms of just some academic stuff, pronouncing Sanskrit and that, he just couldn't do it. So, but Prabhupada could see that that didn't matter. It doesn't matter, that you can't say Sanskrit properly. Even like we all struggle, isn't it, with saying a lot of these Sanskrit verses. But Krishna knows, that.
My Gayatri sounds anything like it should.
But yeah, Krishna's appreciating that you're trying, that's the thing. Even though we have, materially might not have all these qualifications to do all these things perfectly. But yeah, Krishna's appreciating that we're trying. And that's wonderful. That's beautiful. So it doesn't matter even if you're not getting perfect results. Even like today, I cooked way too much prasadam, and Joiny's been hassling me. And but she's saying I don't listen to her. And but Krishna's seeing that we're trying our best, even though we're just dumb and stupid or whatever and make mistakes and like that. But we're just trying, and Krishna's seeing that and he's appreciating our efforts. Even though we may fail sometimes and we're not successful or whatever. But we're just trying, and then Krishna's seeing that, and he'll help us. He'll help us. We just have to try, even like the parents teaching the child how to ride a bicycle, and they might fall off 99 times. But the parents happy that they're just taking the effort, and eventually they'll get there. But it's not about, that you have to be successful all the time. Even the failures in Krishna consciousness, did you know they're not failures? There is no such thing as a failure in Krishna consciousness. As soon as you make an attempt to serve Krishna, you're successful. As soon as you make an attempt, there might be a not such a good result, but that doesn't matter. The result, the result's in Krishna's hands. It's the famous verse. I think, what is it? Where's that verse? Come on, Evanigras 247. 247, I think it is. Yeah, that even that the results in Krishna's hands like that. So we don't have to really worry about the result. You just have to try. You try to chant the Gayatri, you try to chant 16 rounds, you try to cook some nice offering for Krishna and distribute that. You try to distribute books. Like even it said Prabhupada's Guru Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, if one brahmachari went out to sell their magazines, they just had some magazines, then even if he just sold one magazine for a few paisa, paisa is like a few cents, it's not even $1, a few paisa, then the guru would be so happy. The whole day's work, even if you just see he would sell 1 or 2 magazines, which is nothing really, results is like nothing results. But the guru was so happy that this disciple was trying to, spread Krishna consciousness to people. And it's just beautiful. It's just beautiful. Whereas a Western society, one of the main problems with a Western society is we're so result oriented. It's all about results. And if you don't get 100% results.
But today, even if you had been sitting and shouting, come, 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 everybody had to come.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, I stuffed up. But in the Western society, you have to achieve the results. Isn't it? Gulshan knows that. You have to get the results. Otherwise, everything collapses and doesn't work. And that's so much pressure, as so much pressure in that Western result system that you have to achieve the results, and people their brains either blow up first or your heart blows up. In the Western society, it's either your heart blows up first or your brain blows up, because we're just so pressurized by results, results, results. But yeah, Krishna he's not after getting results from us. He already has everything. He doesn't need anything from us. He just wants to see that we develop love, an attitude of loving service like that.
It's
It's
one
beautiful.
of my about the philosophy, to be honest, because it is such a relief. Because when you grow up and you're not very good at things, but you try really hard, it doesn't really help in Western society, because as you said, you've got to be the best. You've got to do really well at everything. Doesn't matter how hard you try. But then what we're reading in the Bhagavad Gita just tips it on its head, and it's about your intention and that you're doing it with, and it is such a relief, because
It is, yeah.
because that's easy to do it with a good intention, but to be responsible for all the results, that's so much pressure.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's crazy. And you tell your boss, oh, I'm sorry it didn't work out, I was trying. He'll say, I don't give a stuff about you trying, I just want the results. Yeah, so yeah, people won't appreciate, your good intentions materially. Yeah, but Krishna knows our heart. There's one verse that says Bhava Grahi Janardhan. So Janardhan's one name of Krishna. It means he's the maintainer of all the people. So that's his name, Janardhan. Actually, it's mentioned that name in the Bhagavad Gita, Janardhan, in one of the verses. So Bhava Grahi means he accepts the feeling in our heart, whatever feeling you have towards him. So that's what he's looking for, is that you have some feeling to serve him, to love him. And then that's what he wants to see, not just external results, but what's in your heart, like that. Okay, so Bhakti Mala, do you want to read the English for this verse 33?
How much more this is so of the righteous brahmanas, the devotees, and the saintly kings. Therefore, having come to this temporary miserable world, engage in loving service unto me.
Okay, so this verse is talking about the high births. So the previous verse said even if you've got a low birth, you can go back to Godhead if you surrender to Krishna, right? So what to speak of the higher birth? If the lower birth is going to go back to Godhead by serving Krishna, what to speak of the higher birth? And what's a higher birth? Brahmana, and it's mentioned the Kshatriyas. Yeah. Kshatras, the devotees, and the saintly kings. Yeah. So Brahmanas, Kshatras, and the Vaishnavas. So if you're, do you know what the best birth in the material world is? What's the highest birth in the material world you can get? No? Even Jayanti said Brahma. Brahma is the first created being. Even better birth than Brahma. No one knows?
No.
You don't know what the
No.
best birth is? Yes, Jayanti said devotee, yeah. To be born in a family of devotees. Man, if you born in a family of devotees, you hit the jackpot. That's the best birth, From day one, you're hearing the Hare Krishna mantra, getting prasadam, hearing the bell ring. Prabhupada said when he was young, he would hear his father ringing the bell when he was doing the arati to the deities in the house. And they were worshipping. His father was worshipping, Radha Krishna, Gaura, so he's brought up in a house where they were worshipping Gaura, Radha Krishna, every day getting prasadam. Every day his father would invite sannyasis to come to the house, and he would feed the sannyasis like that. So such a fortunate birth. And Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati, Prabhupada's guru, also had the same good fortune. His father was Bhaktivinoda Thakur, a super great devotee, like that, super great devotee, and like that. So that's the best birth, is to be born in a family of devotees. And then the next best is to be born in a family of like Brahmanas, because Brahmanas means, they're all very spiritual minded. The Brahmana parents are very spiritual minded, and they're always discussing philosophy and understanding that they're a spirit soul, that they're not the body and everything like that. And they'll be naturally vegetarian, naturally not eating, and naturally not drinking, any intoxicants, naturally no illicit sex, no gambling. So it means very, pure, no sinful activities going on if you're born in that kind of family. So that's a good one too. And yeah, yeah. So Johnny's saying, what about the dogs? Even the dogs in a devotee family are fortunate. Even like she was saying about Simha. So Bhakti Mala has Simha, we have Vajra. So even the dogs are blessed, because they're hearing the Hare Krishna mantra, they're getting prasadam like that, and all these spiritual vibrations of artis and everything. They're getting the benefit of that too. So what to speak of the humans and a devotee family, even the animals and plants around, become fortunate. So that's a very fortunate birth. Family of devotees, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas. The Kshatriyas traditionally don't have many Kshatriyas left now, but these saintly kings, they were called Raja Rishis. So Raja means king, but they're not just a Raja. They're called Raja Rishi. So they're saintly kings. Rishi means saintly, a saint. It's called a Rishi. So they're called like Yudhisthira, Arjuna, Parikshit Maharaj, like that. They're called Raja Rishis. They're a king, but they're also a saint at the same time. So it means they're devotees. They're a devotee king. They are fully surrendered to Krishna, and they're just trying to serve Krishna by doing that work as managing the kingdom and like that. And they're trying to help all the citizens to become Krishna conscious. That's their mission, like that. So even if the lower birth can go back to Godhead, what to speak of the higher birth? 100% they're going to go back to Godhead. And therefore, so what's the conclusion? If you're a lower birth or a higher birth, if you serve Krishna, you can go back to Godhead. So what's the conclusion? Therefore, having come to this temporary miserable world, engage in loving service unto me. So whatever birth, you have a low birth, you have a high birth, we should serve Krishna. And then we get out, why should we serve Krishna? What's one important reason why we should serve Krishna? Like if you met some ignorant person and they said, "Oh, what's the point of being a Hare Krishna? Why do you want to be a Hare Krishna? Why do you need to be a Hare Krishna? Why should you be a Hare Krishna?"
Get
What
out
do you
of
say?
this birth and death.
Yeah, get out of this miserable
Well,
world of birth and death. That's a good reason why. That's a good reason why. That's a good reason why. I mean, that, any intelligent person should think, why am I suffering? If you're a human being and you don't never think about why am I suffering, that means you're not really a human being yet. When they haven't turned the brain on, the brain is still turned off. Every intelligent human being should think, why am I suffering? And what's the solution? Why am I suffering? And then how do I get out of it? If you're happy to stay suffering, that's dumb. We should think, why am I suffering and how to get free from suffering? That's just that, should be normal human being. But the modern society is like so dulls us down by, like New Zealand, Australian culture is watch rugby, drink beer. It just, that kind of culture just makes you so dumb. You don't even think, why am I suffering? And, why do I work so hard, paying the bills, stuck in traffic, stuck in the traffic jam, work in some horrible factory or office, and do 9 to 5, Monday to Friday for my whole life. Why am I doing it? It's just so much suffering. So don't even think, because just the watching the rugby and drinking beer just dulls down the brain so much. But somehow or other, if we can awaken our human potential, and then we realize that the suffering is not good, and I want to stop suffering. That's just normal. Intelligent human beings should not want to suffer. If anyone's happy just to continue suffering, that's really sad. Like if you got animals lined up in the slaughterhouse, they're not thinking, how do I get out of the line? That the 10 sheep ahead of them is having its head chopped off or whatever, a bullet in its head, but they don't try to escape the queue. But if you put humans in a line to being executed, if they should be naturally trying to escape the queue, isn't it? What do you think?
Yeah.
definitely. And I have to go. I'm really sorry.
Yeah, you're going to the Bhakti tree. That's right.
Yeah. Thank
Lovely
you
to
so
see you,
much.
Bhakti Mala.
I'll see
Lovely to see you.
you too.
Lovely
Hare
to see you.
Krishna.
Thank you. So we'll finish up
Hare Krishna.
soon.
Hare Krishna.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Like in Gaza or whatever right now, there'll be people trying to escape. There'll be people trying to escape. Like that. If a human, like if when you had cancer, right? You tried to fix it. You don't just accept it. You try to fix it. So that's. But then people will think, but how do you fix disease? How do you fix old age? How do you fix death? And people can't find out a material solution. And that's exactly right. There is no material solution to old age, disease, and death. However, there's a spiritual solution, and the spiritual solution is serving Krishna. And that's what we call bhakti. And if you serve Krishna, then we can get out of the cycle. And how the hell do you get out of the cycle? You can't escape disease. You can't escape old age. You can't escape death. The only place you can escape is between the death of this body and the birth of the next one. That's the escape route out of the cycle of samsara, cycle of birth and death, is after the death of this body and before the next body is born, then we have to break out. And that is the only way to break out is through bhakti. Then we can break out. But ignorant people don't know that. So they think, oh, you can't do anything about getting old. You can't do anything about disease. You can't do anything about death. We just accept it. But we don't have to accept it. If we have knowledge about the benefit of serving Krishna, is that we can, like he says here, having come to this temporary miserable world, engage in loving service, and then we can get out of here. Hey, Gulshan, how much time do you have? Do we want to finish now, or you want to keep going a little bit?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, now we
Okay,
can
you're all good. Okay,
read
read the purport.
Yeah.
Yep.
In this material world, there are classification of people, but after all, this world is not a happy place for anyone. It is clearly stated here, Nityam Asukham Lokam. This world is temporary and full of miseries, not habitable of any fine gentleman. This world is declared by the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be a temporary and full of miseries. Some philosophers, especially Mayavadi philosopher, says that this world is false. But we can understand from Bhagavad Gita that the world is not false. This is the difference between temporary and false. The world is temporary, but there is another world, eternal. This world is blissful, but the other world is eternal and blissful. Arjuna was born in saintly royal family. Him also the Lord says, take to my devotional service and come quickly back to Godhead, back home. No one should remain in the temporary world, full as it is with miseries. Everyone should attach himself to the bosom of Supreme Personality of Godhead so that he can be eternally happy. The devotional service of Supreme Lord is the only process by which all problems of all classes of men can be solved. Everyone should therefore take a Krishna consciousness in his life perfect.
Right. You want to say anything about that, Gulshan? Anything comes to mind? You there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. There's some network problem was there. That's why.
Okay.
But did you hear the purport or?
I did. It was a little bit crackly, but I did hear it.
Yeah.
Do you want to say anything about the purport? Anything comes to mind that you would that you want to?
It's really crystal clear, you know.
Yeah.
To
I mean,
the Godhead. Yeah, it's just.
One thing I want to say, a lot of devotees, they present that once you become a devotee, you don't care about liberation. You're happy to take birth again. But that's actually not what Prabhupada is saying here. Prabhupada's, often devotees talk about that, we're not after being liberated. We're happy to come back again. But that's not what Prabhupada's saying. Prabhupada's saying no one should remain in this temporary world, full as it is with miseries. Everyone should attach himself to the bosom of the Supreme Person of Godhead so that he can be eternally happy. So eternally happy means obviously going back to Godhead, because that's the only place you can. Here you're always coming and going. But that Prabhupada's indicating here, no one should remain in this world. So it's
How about
healthy
if we leave it up to Krishna?
Of course. Well, no, there's no choice.
Gulshan wants to become that a 3 more times, or
Yeah.
maybe 10 more times, okay. If he said no, you won't, okay, just leave it
Yeah.
up to Krishna.
Yeah. No, I mean, definitely you leave it up to Krishna. There's no doubt about that. But the point is, what do we want?
Yeah,
We should
desire
want
is
to
not
go
to
back
come
to
back.
Godhead.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
desire is
Because
not to
it's
come back.
saying here that no one should remain in the material world. Everyone
Because
should attach
temporary.
to Krishna. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we should have a desire to go back to Godhead. Some devotees present it that you shouldn't have a desire to go back to Godhead, but that's actually, I would disagree with that. What I would say is that if someone's a very advanced devotee, then they're not thinking about going back to Godhead because they're already liberated. They're already so absorbed in thinking about Krishna 24/7 that they're already in the spiritual world. They don't identify with their body, and they're so absorbed in their service to Krishna that they're already in the spiritual world. But what I would say is we shouldn't imitate that most advanced devotee who's not really thinking about getting liberated from the miserable material world, because he's already in the bliss of spiritual life all the time.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't imitate that. So like Prabhupada's saying here, everyone should have, want to
Have a
get out of this
desire.
miserable
Yeah.
world like that. So
Right.
yeah, we shouldn't imitate, someone
Yeah.
on a higher position than us.
Yeah.
But also, once we get more absorbed in our service to Krishna, chanting and like we are now talking about Krishna and that, then you don't notice the miseries of the material world so much, isn't it? I'm sure. I mean, what's your experience? How do you feel? Do you feel like overall happier in life, now that you're Krishna conscious than before you were Krishna conscious?
Definitely. Because
Yeah,
now it's like before that, I was thinking everything I have to do by myself.
yeah,
And now I say I do my duty and leave it up to the Krishna.
yeah,
That's it.
yeah,
So before that, I was get exhausted, like, oh, I need to pay GST or rent is there, this, that. I was thinking everything, I'm the doer.
yeah,
But now I said I'm not the doer. I just do whatever service I do, and then that's leave it up to Krishna. If I get the result, no get the result, whether pass or fail or something like whatever there. If I
yeah,
don't get something, it means Krishna doesn't want me to have that. Simple as.
yeah, yeah,
Before that, if I don't get something, I get exhausted. I get worried.
yes, yeah, yeah,
Then now is so if I don't get it, yeah, that's fine because Krishna wants that. No, Gulshan, you don't need it. That's fine.
yes,
I just
yeah,
accept it.
yeah. So that's a beautiful thing. When someone comes to Krishna consciousness, a lot of those miseries of the material world immediately go down. Immediately
Yeah,
the miseries are
yeah,
reduced. Of course, we
it's
can't avoid the main ones, which is old age, disease, and death. No one can escape that. But the other ones, a lot of the suffering we create ourselves by
yeah,
too much, like I said, running after results,
that's
pressure
right.
that we create, being the doer, like you mentioned, trying to be the doer
Yeah,
all the time. We
yeah,
create unnecessary suffering. So that goes
true,
away.
true.
Mm. So there's a lot of relief. The devotee,
Yes,
once we surrender to Krishna, we get so much relief from a lot of, painful, miserable things. So you get,
100%.
feeling immediate relief and a lot of happiness. And then
Yeah,
ultimately, when the devotee dies, they can go back to Godhead, and that's permanent relief.
yes.
So yeah, it's a wonderful process.
Mm,
And like it's saying, you can accommodate anyone, doesn't matter, what kind of person can
yeah,
take to this path
yeah,
and get a permanent solution to all the problems of life. It's so
true.
beautiful. But like Prabhupada said that, what is the difficulty
Mm,
and people doing it then? Because anyone can take up Krishna consciousness,
anyone.
anyone, but still people don't take it up. So one of the things is that it's so simple that can't accept it. They think it's too easy.
Yeah.
They don't have the faith. They don't believe that you telling me just by chanting Hare Krishna that it can solve all of my problems. They don't they can't
believe it,
digest that.
And so somebody asked me that, like, if chanting Hare Krishna, like, my boss is evil, do you think it's gonna change my boss his appearance to me? I said, no, it would not change your boss's nature. If he's evil, if he's angry, he's gonna be still angry. The only difference comes in you. You don't feel it. You don't even look at it. He's angry because you are in the ecstasy when you're chanting.
Yeah.
So you won't even feel it, and eventually he will get soft too, 100%.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it doesn't change your boss, but it'll change you towards the boss. You won't feel upset or anything if he's angry with you. You won't feel it because you're in the ecstasy. You're doing for Krishna, and getting paid and all that, and eventually he'll get soft and softer and softer. That's the way it is. But if they have to believe it, first thing first, they have to believe it. Chanting makes a difference. I said, look, you know what? Start chanting and you'll see. If it doesn't change anything, don't do it. If it change anything, continue. Simple. You have to, do to believe it. You can't just, I can't just give you that 100% yes, but you have to do it yourself and you'll see the difference. And then once you see the difference and you can see the benefit and you can keep chanting. If you don't get the benefit, don't chant. Simple as.
Yeah.
You have to be.
And if on the other side, if you don't try it, you're not going to get the benefit.
That's right. You can't. If you don't try it, you don't know.
Like Prabhupada said, I mean, how are you going to know what honey tastes like? You can't.
You have to put the finger in the jar.
You have to put the finger in, and
that's it. Lick it.
You can't just see it from the outside.
Simple, like if somebody wants to learn the swimming, and I can give you 1,000 of books. You can read that. You have to put the head like that, hand like that, feet like that. Make sure breathe like that. But you don't know swimming until you get into the water. Simple as.
Yeah.
Isn't it? You can read that millions of books.
Yeah, there was a lot of people today that didn't take the food that said that, I'll give the food to someone who needs it.
Yes.
Give the food to someone that needs it. So what's that indicating? I was thinking about that. What's the mentality behind that? Give the food to someone that needs it. They're thinking, that we're giving out free food. It's just for the poor people. And we're not poor. We're not poor. That this is just for the poor people. We're not poor.
Because they look at materially, poor, like they will calculate with the money.
Yeah.
The poor and rich and the money. But anyway.
So that's what I'm saying is, they think that this is like too simple, too easy, like that. So this is an obstacle why people can't take it up. Because, we just say just eat this food and chant Hare Krishna, you can go back to Godhead. But they think, no, this is too easy. It's too simple.
Can't be possible. Yeah, that's right.
Like that. And also they're under so much Maya illusion. They're thinking that they're not suffering. That the poor person doesn't have money, he's suffering, but we're not suffering. But actually they're suffering as much. I mean, they might not be struggling to get food, but they'll be struggling in other ways. They hate their job, or they've got cancer, or, there'll be other problems. But they think that just because they have money, that they're not suffering, but actually they are suffering,
Yeah.
But they can't see it. That's the problem. When you're in Maya, you don't know you're in Maya.
Yeah. If they think they are rich, they will be happy. That's what they think.
Yeah.
But so it's like how poor they are. All they have got just the money. How poor are they? They're the poor. How poor they are. All they have got just the money.
Yeah. Actually, the richest people are the ones that have no money and took prasadam.
Yeah.
They're the richest people. And the people that have the money but didn't take prasadam, they're actually the poorest people.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it's the saintly people sitting on the Ganges River just having a sun bath, and he's
Yeah.
the like richest person on the planet. But
Yeah.
the great Alexander can't see that. Queen of Victoria, they can't see that. They can
Yeah.
see,
Yeah.
oh, how poor is that?
Yeah.
But yeah, the,
You know the
anyway,
story
Kali.
of Alexander, right?
Yes,
He came to conquer India, and there
yes.
was a yogi sitting there. He was very pleased with this yogi. Looked really magnificent. He said, "Oh, I would like to do something for you."
He said, "You're so poor. What can you do for me?"
Yeah, he didn't want anything. The yogi didn't want
Yeah,
anything. All he
yeah.
said is, "Okay, you want to give me
Just
something?
move
Can you
aside
move
from
out
the
of the way because you're blocking
sunlight.
the sun?" You're blocking the sun. And that
Yeah,
really hit Alexander, that this
yeah,
guy is so satisfied, he
yeah,
doesn't want anything materially.
yeah. That's right.
And it made him change his way of thinking. Why am I
Yeah,
running
maybe.
after material things so
True.
much? This guy's much more advanced than me.
Yeah,
He doesn't
yeah.
have anything, but he's satisfied. And I have
It's
so much, and I'm
it's
still not
there,
satisfied.
there was the one story there when the Alexandra wants to go back to Rome, wherever he belongs to. Somebody, one of his ministers, says that, he said, "What can I take from India?" He said, "You can take from Yogi from India. One saintly people." He said, "Okay." He said, "Well, where can we find?" He said, "Such and such place there in the cave." And he is the ministers went there. He said, "Come, you have to come with us." He said, "No, I will not." He says, "What do you mean? Can't you see the naked swords? We can just chop your head within a minute." And he says that, "Tell your whoever boss is, I'm not interested." They were so surprised. He said, "What do you mean? You say no to the great Alexander?" He said, "He's the poorest man on the planet anyway. Who cares?" He went to the Alexander, and then great Alexander came, and he said that, "I can chop your neck in a minute." He said, "Yes, you can. But when you chop my head, we both will watching who's dying." He said, "What?" He said, "Yeah, I'll watch it myself as well, and you watch that too." He was stunned. He said that, "You can't kill me.
Yeah.
You only kill my body. I'm
Yeah.
the eternal. I'm the soul. I'll watching
Mm,
too. My body
mm,
dying. You can see that as well." He was just so stunned. He said, "You can't take me."
mm.
He just left the empty handed, and then just like, so much thinking in his head. He said, "Wow, what a man." Like, it just some these like they don't care about the body. Yes, you can kill me, yes, but you can't really kill me
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I'm the eternal. You can't
Yeah.
drown, you can't kill.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
I reached to that stage, and then you're like, away from birth and death anyway. So you are
Yeah.
eternal.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Anyway, yeah, that's the story there, but we learn from these stories.
Yes. Oh, that's lovely.
So
We could catch up again. That's good.
yeah, next week I don't know where would I be, because next
You
Wednesday
might
I'm
be on
gonna
the
start
move.
on the move, but I'll